Hey travelers, you're watching Big Ol' Travels. On this channel we definitely have a big ol' travel, big ol' adventure planned for today. We have the Fossil Festival at the Orlando Science Center. So today's the last day of the Fossil Festival at the Orlando Science Center. And I found out it was today. I'm like, I need to go to that. I didn't really plan to do anything today, but I need to go to that. I obviously love dinosaurs. I'm wearing my Jurassic Park The Ride hat. I was hungry, so I took a bite out of it. So yeah, we're gonna do that today. Check it out. Learn about dinosaurs, learn about fossils, learn about paleontology. If we have time, we'll check out other parts of the museum. Kind of short on time today just because it's my one day off for the week. Well, actually no, I'm off New Year's Eve and New Year's Day. I forgot about that. That is coming up this week. So yeah, Happy New Year's everybody. Comment down below your New Year's resolution if you want to share that. Let's go on this adventure. Let's do this. Let's go. All right, we're here at the Orlando Science Center. I like the beads that they have up front. It's a cool view from here. I'm excited to go to the museum today. I love this museum. Check out my old video of this museum. I went with my friend Mike. We had a lot of fun. Mostly what we're going to check out today is the Fossil Festival. I know. Here at Dino Digs, which I expect is most of the Fossil Fest stuff. Let's check it out. Coming up, presented by Valerie First Fossil. Different skulls, humanoids. Hello. Very interesting. Very cool. We have saber-toothed cat skull, terror bird. So when I was in high school, I was in the Fossil Club, and it was a club at our high school where we would learn about fossils and dinosaurs and past life, and we would go to the Fossil Festival every year and go to the quarry to hunt for fossils. This has always been an interest of mine. I just think it's cool stuff. That is a tapir skull. Pliocene era. Pronghorn skull fragment. Very cool. Look at the lights. Very Christmassy. Let's see what this is. It looks like a mosasaur. It's a Tylosaurus. Late Cretaceous period. They got the lights up on the fossils. Location found in western parts of North America. One of the largest mosasaur. I was right, it is a mosasaur. Tylosaurus. Oh, Christmas Rex, oh, Christmas Rex. Oh, how we love your lights. Dinos and lights. Oh, Christmas Rex. Oh, Christmas Rex. Oh, how we love your lights. You have little stubby arms. You can't high five with those arms. Oh, Christmas Rex. Oh, Christmas Rex. Platocorpus insiturus. Very long neck there. Excuse me. Alright. We can dig a little bit. Discover these fossils. I assume there's more dino digging over there. Pachycephalosaurus. And I thought I was hard-headed. Look at the horns on the back of his head. Very cool. That's another Pachycephalosaurus. You can see the horns on the back of his head better. Florida's prehistoric climate. The word for Miocene is gradual cooling, gradual drying, and gradual fluctuations of sea levels. That is what Florida looked like in those times. So where I live in Florida was not above sea level. There's an alligator scoot from Peace River, Florida over there. Bones from camels and llamas. Triceratops. What happened to the dinosaurs? Giant asteroid, right? Maybe. The extinction wasn't the first nor the last. Corals, brachiopods, excuse me, nautilus, some seashells, another nautilus, there's a big Spinosaurus over there. It just walked over me. Excuse me. Triceratops again. Edmontosaurus. Struthomephius. Look at that eye. Albertosaurus. So right here we have a patch from the Kitty Hawk flight, the first flight. And then we have a patch that's from the Apollo 11 mission. Very cool. Patch of the first flight, a patch from the trip to the moon.
Oh yeah, could you? Yeah.
As private dig teams, that means that anyone can become a paleontologist. In my most humble opinion, which does differ between who you talk to, I think that a paleontologist is someone who finds fossils and learns about them. And that is not difficult to do. So, there are fossils here in Florida. You're not going to find dinosaurs out here, but you can find a ton of different things. Most of our community partners that are here out in the hallways talking to people have Florida fossils. We have things like mammoths, we have crazy crocodiles, we have all kinds of cool stuff, and those are fossils you can find here. We also have a bunch of cases over there that can show you Florida fossils as well. But again, it doesn't necessarily take a formal education to become a paleontologist. Now, you can go to school to become a paleontologist. It's a little difficult because since it's not a popular job, most colleges and universities don't offer programs that fit into that category. There's no really paleontology 101 classes you're going to find and get a degree out of it. There are some colleges and universities that do offer that. I took a few classes at Seminole State College about dinosaurs. They didn't add into any specific degree, but again, most of my friends that are paleontologists have degrees in things like English, because when you find a fossil, you have to write research papers on it and get it published, and that takes a lot of writing skills. I have paleontologist friends that are microbiologists, I have chemists that I know, all kinds of stuff. So you can even get a general either ecology degree, evolutionary science degree, and you'll be able to use the skills that you learn from that in paleontology. Also, not all paleontology is dinosaurs. There is also paleobotany, which is the study of ancient plants. You have paleoentomology, which is really cool. It's the study of ancient bugs. All kinds of cool stuff. So by finding things that kind of relate to paleontology, you can kind of skirt around not having a paleontology degree. So it's kind of whatever you would like. There's also clubs and things. We have the Florida Fossil Hunters that meet here at the Science Center, and they talk all about fossils, and they even go on dig trips sometimes, so you can get involved that way, and that experience is going to get you on dig teams. So you can do it at any time. I highly encourage it. You can even just go fossil hunting as a family, as a group, by yourself if you're old enough, all kinds of cool stuff. So I do highly recommend it. Did anyone else have any questions?
Where do you specialize in paleontology?
So I mostly specialize in late Cretaceous. So I dig in North and South Dakota. I've also been to Montana and Wyoming for mostly ammonite hunting, but no real dinosaurs there that I have found. This is actually me with a Triceratops rib. The picture actually extends all the way out here because that is a rib. But really cool stuff. So I've dug on T-Rexes, I've dug on Triceratops and Montgosaurus, Pachycephalosaurus. A back of a Pachycephalosaurus horn was the very first fossil that I ever found. It was really cool. I didn't know what it was. So thank goodness I had a team all around me that were like, oh no, that's cool, you should eat that. And I was like, okay. But over the years, it's become a lot easier to identify fossils like that. There is a lot of things that really just look like rocks, especially when you dig where I dig. So I dig in the Hell Creek Formation, which imagine in your brain the Grand Canyon, smaller scale. So rocks everywhere, really nothing else. There was, of course, a creek there. There was a lot of water. We also had something called the Western Interior Seaway, which was a sea that went through the United States. Now, one thing that a fossil needs to become a fossil is water. So you have to really be near a body of water to do that. You have to get covered up really fast. So think like mudslide situation where there's nothing that can scavenge parts of you. There's a lot of weird qualifications, but when you have badlands, like you can kind of see it in the background here, all of the fossils that you're going to find are eroding out of the walls of those cliffs. So what we do is something called prospecting. You walk through the valleys, and if you find chunks of bone, what you do is you just trace it up the side of the canyon wall, and then you're able to find the layer that you should be looking at. Now the layer is just kind of like topographically, like how high, almost like the altitude of where you should be looking. So if you see something that's 10 feet up and there's a fossil going around there, you look all around, and anything that is that same height is where you're going to find other fossils. It does kind of vary. There's different like hills and things because obviously the land isn't always perfectly smooth, but that's your best chance. So once you find your bone layer, that's where you start hunting. You start digging into the sides of these walls. You see if you can find somewhere to sit. My second season we went out, we were literally digging on the side of a cliff, and we had to carve out places for us to sit to actually find fossils. And it really didn't pan out. We really didn't find anything, which was unfortunate. But my very first season, we found 9 T-Rex teeth. Now, that has never happened again. But the very smallest one we found was just over an inch, and the very largest one we found was about 12 inches. So T-Rexes had crazy teeth, crazy teeth. So if you look at Stan up there, you can see that a lot of his teeth are different sizes. Now, there's a couple reasons for that. One is obviously they're in different parts of the mouth, but also dinosaurs like T-Rex and many other dinosaurs actually lost their teeth continuously as they got older. So they were always growing new teeth, always losing old ones, because obviously that is the majority of what they're going to use to navigate their daily lives. They don't really use their arms for grabbing things and putting them in their mouth, so they need their teeth to be in good condition at all times, for grabbing, for eating, all kinds of that stuff, because they have a huge body to support. So that's why they are always able to lose those teeth. So some of them are really small if they don't have the root attached, but if it does have the root, you can only imagine if you compare the size of a human tooth, the tooth itself is shorter than the root. So if you look at his teeth, imagine even how big they are, the root, for the most part, is going to be longer than that tooth that you can see. We actually have a model one right here from my lovely friend Jill, thank you. So this isn't real, but this is one of the bigger versions of a T-Rex tooth. If you guys want, you can pass this around. It's like not very scary. You can hold on to it, you can drop it. Yeah, it's a cast replica, so it's not actually real, but it is the same size and shape that a T-Rex tooth could be. It's kind of cool. So you can see that it has almost like, not exactly a cone shape. It is a little bit more of an ellipse if you cut it in half, but it does have serrations. I don't know if that specific model does, but those serrations are just like steak knives. They help it cut into whatever it's eating, which unfortunately is most of the other dinosaurs in this exhibit hall. So they were eating things like Triceratops. We have found Triceratops fossils that have puncture marks in their frill or in that big bonnet on the back of their head. The same size and shape as a T-Rex tooth. Not great for them, but that's why they had that bonnet in the first place. It's going to do a couple things for them, but one of them is to protect its neck, which is one of the most vulnerable places of any body of anything. Not something that you would want to be chopped in half by a T-Rex. They also, of course, had those horns. Triceratops means three-horned face. And they're really, really cool. Right here, one of my favorite things in our exhibit hall, which no one ever sees, is this height chart. So from here down, that's going to be the size of a Triceratops. From here down, actually, I like Triceratops. The orbital horn horn, so it comes off the side of their head, right above their eye. But of course they have, thank you, they have 3 horns, so they have one on their nose. What's really cool is my team, the year before I joined my team, and I didn't get to work on it, we found a Triceratops skull that was actually mutated. So we don't know exactly if it was born with a, what's his name? Claudia. This is Claudia. We're going to have our Dino and Life show in just a second. Really cool if you haven't seen it. But the Triceratops skull that we found, we don't really know if it was just a mutation, like a birth defect, or if it was something like bone cancer, but one of its orbital horns almost looked like a ball of bone, and that top portion was never really there. You can tell that it had kind of grown. There were pieces that were kind of layered on top of each other. It was really, really strange. But that's something cool that happens in paleontology sometimes. Edmontosaurus there in the back was some of the first fossils that we found with evidence of bone cancer, which means that it's not new to humans. It's not even new to creatures. It's been around for millions and millions and millions of years. And again, that's something cool that we can learn even from just having bones of these creatures. Now, something also cool about Edmontosaurus is recently there was a paper published, actually only a few months ago, on something called clay lamination, which is kind of like a bonus when something fossilizes, where you get perfect imprints in clay of things like skin. You can get imprints of if they have any like crests on their back. You can get things like perfect imprints of the hooves that were on these creatures. So imagine a giant dinosaur that has hooves like a cow. They kind of were cows, they grazed, they lived in herds, but they're really, really cool. And sometimes you also get carbon imprint fossils. So certain theropods, not exactly T-Rex, but members of the same family, have been found with basically shadows of feathers all around them. Now, this of course hints at a lot of cool things, but one of those is that dinosaurs had feathers. Really, really awesome stuff. And again, it's not something that's widely known. I mean, when you look at this creature, most people think that's a big lizard, but they were very similar to creatures that we have today. Now, it's obviously, again, very difficult to find out something like that. And so that really is those 1 in a million chance when you find a fossil that has some of those extra perks alongside it. Also finding things like amber. There was a piece of amber found in Myanmar, actually, that has a tail of a coelurosaur. Now that is kind of just a theropod, so something that looks like this, most likely a little bit smaller, but that tiny tail was from a little baby coelurosaur, and what's cool about it is it is also covered in feathers. Now, they look a little bit different than your normal bird feathers. They're more looked more closely related to things like down, which also hints at the fact that dinosaurs as little tykes might have been covered in down, and as they got older would have become those bigger feathers that we saw in those carbon imprints, which is really interesting. So that's why paleontology is so special as a field, because it's so much guesswork until you have proof of something. And the only way to get proof is to look for it. Now, I am going to become real quiet in about 2 minutes because the light show is about to happen, and it is way cooler than I am. But that does mean we have a couple more minutes for questions. The light show will go off, and then I will come back out for like 5-10 minutes. So, does anyone have any questions to stop me? Yeah. That's a great question. Now, my answer is not the biggest bone that I've found, or even like a part of a T-Rex, which is the most popular thing that I've found, but one of the sites, actually not this most recent dig season, but last year I think last year, the site that we were at was really cool because the bone layer that we were talking about earlier was the surface of the ground. That means that as you're walking around, there are bones laying on the ground. We didn't have to dig anything up at that site unless we kind of wanted to go under where there was like a hill or something. What that means is as we were walking around, going through all these canyons and around these buttes and corners, we walk and there is a T-Rex femur laying on the ground. Now, it was huge. We were all screaming. It was awesome. No one can hear you scream, so you can be as loud as you want. We were freaking out. So we kind of were like, okay, let's look for other things because that's already beautiful and we'll come back to it. But I was like, I want to tinker around and kind of look at it. And what I found was a tooth embedded in this bone. Now, this tooth was not from another dinosaur. It was from something called a champsosaur, which is like a crocodile iguana weird mix thing. It's like it's very strange looking. But they were notorious scavengers, and this is really cool because it proves that, it furthers that idea that they were scavengers, because after this T-Rex died, somehow it wasn't covered up very fast, and something was able to chomp on it a little bit first, which is awesome. Now, this is going to start, it's going to be awesome. If you haven't seen Dinos and Lights, highly recommend it. The best place to stand is in between any of the columns, or just anywhere around stand. There's a special surprise at the end, but I won't spoil it for you. So, if you don't come back, have a great rest of your day. I'll be back right after.
Dinosaurs in a whole new light.
There's a bench.
Snow. It's cold. It's snow.
Presented by the Labrador Health Physician Association. Hope you enjoy the rest of your Dino Light Day.
My nap got a little snopey. So I was holding my arm out.
What's it?
This is a fluid vortex. I made it spin the other way. Just the other way. There's nothing. There's the opposite direction. Rotating motion around a common center line is called a vortex. Vortices occur in natural many forms: tornadoes, whirlpools, hurricanes, and galaxies. The essence of a vortex is the objects are drawn together towards the center that miss. Very cool. Press penny machine here. I want the trilobite right there. They drop the penny. Sweet.
That can see 9 more base cone colors than we can. So if you ever want to go and learn about like how parrots see, it is a humongous rabbit hole to go down. But there are certain devices that humans have made that simulate those colors that we can't see. That allow you to look at one bird with our eyes and then put a lens on a camera and see that bird how another bird would view it, and it changes the animal completely. Yeah, that's why they look like clowns. Because to them, they have so much more going on than everybody else. Most parrots, you can't tell boy and girl apart by looking at them, but their own species can. Because there's difference in color in the ultraviolet spectrum in male. Infraorange? Perhaps? Would you be able to see it? Heck no. There's probably people who know more about how light interacts with the world around us that are more in the physics science level of things than I am. I'm biological science. I'm interested in how things live and breathe. Physics people are crazy. They're interested in how the world works. And that is a scary thing to learn about sometimes. Yup. The animal stuff is fun. That's why a lot more people, I think, learn about animals and engineering. Because engineering is a lot of math. And physics is a lot of math. And I love math, don't get me wrong. But I am not the best at math all the time. So I work with alligators. Do you guys have any other questions about the animal behind me? Now?
So big.
Why is it so big? Because it lives in the ocean. It hunted big things. If you're hunting big things and you live in a big place, it helps you to be big. So if you're not big, what happens to you? If you're around a whole bunch of bigger animals, you get eaten, right? So that helps them survive.
Look right there. It's long. No, he's doing me. Well, and me. How big since you go in?
So many. I'm sorry for taking that video, but
Here's here you go. Elevator. Next floor.
yeah, it's right here. Are you personally filming, or are you doing it for YouTube or something?
For YouTube.
Oh, goodness gracious, yeah.
So what is this?
He is a Gavialiceucus. He's a prehistoric species of gharial. Lived in Florida about 17 million years ago. This one's a young male.
Is that like a Sarcosuchus?
Sarcosuchus was closer to crocodile.
Okay.
When we talk about that family of animals, crocodilians, there's 4 separate species. Alligators and crocodiles, which everybody knows about. Then you've got caiman and gharial, or gavial, depending on who you ask. And there's only about a handful of gavials that still exist on the planet. Most of them living in Asia and Indonesia, and they're all, like I said, on the way out of the planet. They are not very strong built body plan wise, especially with humans interfering. They're not having a good time. This one is one of the largest examples of that clade that we have. The average sized adult females and males got between 15 to 20 foot long. He's 19 foot 6, so he's a pretty decent sized boy. There was a skull found in Polk County a few years back from a 40 foot long individual.
Wow.
They got way bigger. The talk that you walked in on started with me talking about what they ate. because they lived in Florida during the late Pleistocene, early Miocene, which meant that they were on the inland sea level of Florida. Being a coastal predator, they ate young eggs as they were in the nursery in the shallow sea in Florida trying to make their way out to the deep ocean. They hunted Zygorrhiza and Basilosaur, which are prehistoric dolphins and whales. They also went after dugong, prehistoric manatees. They also had a whole bunch of their own species in their stomach cavity. Just like American alligators, they were cannibals, they ate each other.
Yeah.
And they also, for a short while, existed right alongside American alligators. As the ocean water level was receding and falling down, their hunting ground was forced out further into sea. Where those massive guys were, they didn't last very long because of that. American alligators moved faster on land, were better generalist predators, better at keeping themselves alive, and this large-bodied pursuit predator was not able to survive nearly as long.
The American alligators we have today, they go way back, right?
Yes, they do. Over 17 million years in the
Wow.
fossil record. And right next to them, too, if you go and look at the fossils alongside the Thomas Farm site, things like that, there's another species as well. We call them alligator mephistis. And mephistis was adorable. They were only about 5 foot at maximum, and they were outcompeted by the American alligators, too.
Wow.
The only 2 extant alligator species around today are the American alligators and the Chinese alligators. And Chinese alligators aren't that big either. Their max size is like 6 foot. The biggest crocodilians on the planet right now are the saltwater crocs in Australia, and they get to be around 22 to 23 foot long. A little bit longer than him, but it takes them to 23 foot to be over 100 years old. This gentleman was probably only around 20 years old when he passed away.
That's big for 20 years old.
He's a big baby. He has a lot of things on his body that showcase his injuries he attained while he was alive. As we put him together, me and my friend Aiden, who's the founder of Florida Fossilized, built him in our house. And we found him in a box. He was donated to us by a very kind gentleman. And we put his spine together at first. His spine started to make me angry because it wasn't lining up properly. I didn't know why. And then we started to build the front legs, and I noticed that his front shoulder was broken.
Okay.
He has a fractured colloid bone right here that healed over and fixed itself. So he broke his shoulder and then lived long enough afterwards to heal it back together. And probably as well, if I open his jaw up front here, you'll notice that a lot of his teeth on his right-hand side are missing. Those roots are gone. Whenever these guys fight each other, just like saltwater crocodiles, it's hypothesized that they will use their heads like bashing equipment and beat the snot out of each other with their skulls before even opening their jaws. And if they have a point in time where their root is damaged, just like modern-day American alligators, the root deletes itself. That little spot on the skull is completely formed over. No more ingrown teeth as they replace each other, and no more wasted energy. And that's exactly what the right side of his skull looks like to me. So if I were a betting man, he was a younger crocodile. One of his first territorial fights he ever had, he met another male that moved faster than him, and that other male used his skull to hit him. And then he survived years and years afterwards. Once he got that injury, just like if I were to hurt my kneecap, if I was walking with a limp for all of my life, looking really silly, eventually the left side of my body is going to overcompensate for my right. My spine's going to start to get crooked. My hips are going to get out of place. And when I look at his spine, it's crooked. His dorsal ridge, which are these little processes right here, has a humongous left knee, just like that. And his tail is crooked. It goes off to one side and then slaps to the other. He had alligator scoliosis, which is kind of interesting to see. And that's why his spine was making me angry. When I first built him, we wanted to make sure his tail had this big sweeping motion. And it was impossible. His bones wouldn't allow it. Now, why did he die? He probably couldn't hunt nearly as well. He was not able to get up to speed. He had to chase down sharks and prehistoric whales. Those were his main source of food. And if you can't go out and get food that way, eventually he will die. Either that or he got into another fight next mating season, and his life was snuffed out then. But that goes to show prehistoric crocodilians like him and American alligators still have a lot in common. They usually only live in the wild for around 30 or 40 years. Alligators. Their maximum lifespan, the lifespan record, was 136 years old. If you don't get any fights, you live forever. If you have enough food, you live forever. But life doesn't always work out that way. It only is that way for the luckiest individuals out there. Which is really kind of fascinating to learn about. Not all the animals that you see on display in zoos are perfect. Not all the animals you see on display in museums, the fossils, are perfect either. Now here in my little Riker box, I have a whole bunch of real Gavi teeth. In my pocket, I have stomach contents. So these fossilized shark teeth are found in their stomachs, and then these bones here. This one's modern day. That's a modern day American alligator backbone. But the brown one in the center is a prehistoric alligator backbone. If I flip it over, it'll look a little bit more similar. These can stop bullets at full size when the alligators are adults. These are Gavialosuchus backbones. So they said these were stomach contents, right? They're cannibals. They eat each other.
Got some fishies. You start this way.
Shark just a hammerhead shark just went by.
I see it.
There he is again. Another one.
Hi, fishy.
That's all they have to do is swim in circles all day.
There's Dory.
Over here. Come on.
You want to skip the touch tank? Yeah. Huh?
Could I go?
Yeah, go for it. It's a Prevost squirrel. Burrowing owl. Some turtles. Am I turtly enough for the turtle club? Alright, and now we're leaving. Thanks for watching today. We had a lot of fun learning about dinosaurs and other creatures and seeing the museum. So like, comment, subscribe. We'll see you in the next video. Thanks for joining us today.